Factories. So far, the only way we have created elements has been with React.createElement. Another way to create a React element is to use factories. A factory is a special object that can be used to abstract away the details of instantiating objects. In React, we use factories to help us create React element instances. React has built-in factories for all commonly supported HTML and SVG elements, and you can use the React.createFactory function to build your own factor. Around specific components. For example, consider our H1 element from earlier in this chapter. Baked salmon. Instead of using createElement, we can create a React element with a built-in factory. Example 4-18. Example 4-18. Sing create factory to create an H1. React.dom.h1 null, baked salmon. In this case, the first argument is for the properties and the second argument is for the children. We can also use DOM factories to build an unordered list, as in example 4-19. Example 4-19. B. Building an unordered list with DOM factories. React.dom.ul class name. Ingredients. React.dom.lineUl, 1 pound salmon. React.dom.lineUl, 1 cup pine nuts. React.dom.lineUl, 2 cups butter lettuce. React.dom.lineUl, 1 yellow squash. React.dom.lineUl, a half cup olive oil. React.dom.lineUl, 3 cloves of garlic. In this case, the first argument is for the properties, where we define the class name. Additional arguments are elements that will be added to the children array of the unordered list. E can also separate out the ingredient data and improve the crist. In definition using factories. Example 4-20. Example 4-20. Sing map with factories. Var items equals 1 pound salmon, 1 cup pine nuts, 2 cups butter lettuce, 1 yellow squash, a half cup olive oil, 3 cloves of garlic. Var list equals React.dom.ul. Class name ingredients, items.make ingredient, key equals React.dom.likey, ingredient. React.dom.render. List, document.getElement via React container. Using factories with components. If you would like to simplify your code by calling components as functions, you need to explicitly create a factory. Example 4-21. Example 4-21. C. Creating a factory with ingredients list. Const render equals React.dom. Const ingredients list equals React.createElement null, list.make ingredient, I equals React.createElement key I, ingredient. Const ingredients equals React.createFactor I ingredients list. Const list equals 1 pound salmon, 1 cup pine nuts, 2 cups butter lettuce, 1 yellow squash, a half cup olive oil, 3 cloves of garlic. Render. Ingredients list, document.getElement via React container. In this example, we can quickly render a React element with the ingredients factory. Ingredients is a function that takes in properties and children as arguments just like the DOM factories. If you are not working with JSX, you may find using factories preferable to numerous React.createElement calls. However, the easiest and most common way to define React elements is with JSX tags. If you use JSX with React, chances are you will never use a factory. Throughout this chapter, we've used createElement and createFactory to build React components. In Chapter 5, we'll take a look at how to simplify component creation by using JSX. Chapter 5 React with JSX. In the last chapter, we looked at how the virtual DOM is a set of instructions that React follows when creating and updating a user interface. These instructions are made up of JavaScript objects called React elements. So far, we've learned 2 ways to create React elements using React.createElement and using factories. An alternative to typing out verbose React.createElement calls is JSX, a JavaScript extension that allows us to define React elements using syntax that looks similar to HTML. In this chapter, we are going to discuss how to use JSX to construct a virtual DOM with React elements. React Elements as JSX. Facebook's React team released JSX when they released React to provide a concise syntax for creating complex DOM trees with attributes. They also hoped to make React more readable, like HTML and XML. In JSX, an element's type is specified with a tag. The tag's attributes represent the properties. The element's children can be added between the opening and closing tags. You can also add other JSX elements as children. If you have an unordered list, you can add child list item elements to it with JSX tags. It looks very similar to HTML. See example 5:1. Example 5:1. JSX for an unordered list. 1 pound salmon. 1 cup pine nuts. 2 cups butter lettuce. 1 yellow squash. A half cup olive oil. 3 cloves of garlic. JSX works with components as well. Simply define the component using the class name. In figure 5:1, we pass an array of ingredients to the ingredients list as a property with JSX. Figure 5:1. CR. Eating the ingredients list with JSX. When we pass the array of ingredients to this component, we need to surround it with curly braces. th. Is called a JavaScript expression, and we must use these when passing JavaScript values to components as properties. Component properties will take 2 types, either a string or a JavaScript expression. JavaScript expressions can include arrays, objects, and even functions. In order to include them, you must round them in curly braces. JSX tips. JSX might look familiar, and most of the rules result in syntax that is similar to HTML. However, there are a few considerations that you should understand when working with JSX. Nested components. JSX allows you to add components as children of other components. For our example, inside the ingredients list, we can render another component called ingredient multiple times. Example 5:2. Example 5:2. In ingredients list with 3 nested ingredient components. / class name. Since class is a reserved word in JavaScript, class name is used to define the class attribute instead. Class name equals fancy baked salmon. JavaScript expressions. JavaScript expressions are wrapped in curly braces and indicate where variables shall be evaluated and their resulting values returned. For example, if we want to display the value of the title property in an element, we can insert that value using a JavaScript expression. The variable will be evaluated and its value returned. This.props.title. Values of types other than string should also appear as JavaScript expressions. Type equals checkbox default checked equals false. / Evaluation. The JavaScript that is added in between the curly braces will get evaluated. This means that operations such as concatenation or addition will occur. This also means that functions found in JavaScript expressions will be invoked. Hello. This.props.title. This.props.title.replace. Function append type let this.props.title. Console.log this.props.title is great. Mapping arrays to JSX. JSX is JavaScript, so you can incorporate JSX directly inside of JavaScript functions. For example, you can map an array to JSX elements example 5 to 3. Example 5 to 3. Array.map with JSX. This.props.ingredients.make ingredient, I equals. Key equals a, ingredient. JSX looks clean and readable, but it can't be interpreted with a browser. LLJSX must be converted into create element calls or factories. Luckily, there is an excellent tool for this task, Babel. Most software languages allow you to compile your source code. JavaScript is an interpreted language. The browser interprets the code as text, so there is no need to compile JavaScript. However, not all browsers support the latest S6 and S7 syntax, and no browser supports JSX syntax. Since we want to use the latest features of JavaScript along with JSX, we are going to need a way to convert our fancy source code into something that the browser can interpret. This process is called transpiling, and it is what Babel is designed to do. The first version of the project was called 6.5, and it was released in September 2014. 6.5 was a tool that could be used to convert S6 syntax to S5 syntax, which is more widely supported by web browsers. As the project grew, it aimed to be a platform to support all of the latest changes in ECMAScript. It also grew to support transpiling JSX into pure React. The project was renamed to Babel in February 2015. Babel is used in production at Facebook, Netflix, PayPal, Airbnb, and more. Previously, Facebook had created a JSX transformer that was their standard, but it was soon retired in favor of Babel. There are many ways of working with Babel. The easiest way to get started is to include a link to the Babel core transpiler directly in your HTML, which will transpile any code in script blocks that have a type of text /Babel. Babel will transpile the source code on the client before running it. Although this may not be the best solution for production, it is a great way to get started with JSX. See example 5 to 4. Example 5 to 4. Including Babel core. Charset equals at 8. React examples. Class equals React container. src equals https://react15.4/1.2/dist/react.js. src equals https://um.com/react.15.4.2/dist/react.js. src equals https://ajax.cloudflare.com/ajax/babel.core/5.8.29/browser.js. Type equals text/babel/JSX code here. Or link to separate JavaScript file that contains JSX. Babel version 5.8 required to transpile code in the browser. Use Babel v. 5.8. Babel 6.0 will not work as an in-browser transformer. Later in the chapter, we'll look at how we can use Babel with Webpack to transpile our JavaScript files statically. For now, using the in-browser transpiler will do. Recipes as JSX.